Deputy Michael Collins.
Thank you. Indeed, I like to delighted to get an opportunity to speak on this amendment, which I fully support. I suppose the reasons I'll try and outline. I'd like to get the opportunity to speak to, because it's democracy to speak in the Parliament, and many are trying to stifle that here tonight, but certainly won't stifle me any going forward. Irish people were not aware, Minister, as far as I'm concerned, and talking to a lot of them, that their taxes would be funding these procedures that would end the most innocent lives in Irish society. And abortion clinics are hospitals, as we know. In a recent poll last August, there was up to about 60% claimed that they didn't want to have their taxes paying for abortions. And I think that's a huge amount of people. And I think that's a lot of people that weren't aware going to the polls that this is the situation. And we do know, like I was listening to a lot of deputies speaking here tonight, and some of them were very respectful and more very questionable. But we do not know, like, what a woman's financial situation, somebody said, and I accept that. We don't know anybody's financial situation. But I certainly know about thousands and thousands of women and men and children and the financial situation they find themselves today, looking for emergency procedures, and they can't have it because the state can't afford to give it to them. And that's a very serious issue going forward. And that's probably why there's a lot of frustration amongst the public here, that they feel now, as I say, 60% feel now that they're paying for procedures that, well, some of them may have voted for abortion. They didn't vote to pay for the abortion. And I suppose, look, I have to, I met a lot of people, along the route of throughout this campaign. I suppose, being honest, mainly the most that I met were against it, because obviously they would have known that I came from that. But I also met people who are for abortion in my clinic, and I was respectful to them, and they were respectful to me. And I gave them, the opportunity to give their views and listen to them very carefully. The same as I would expect people would listen to me here tonight and give me that opportunity. But one person, who had done a lot of research about abortion, said to me that there are, in the UK, and you have to look at other countries, obviously, because we don't have abortion in this country, so you have to look at the other countries that have abortions and have them being paid for or whatever, that in the UK there is a huge percentage, and unfortunately I didn't write down the percentage, 40% are women that have had a second abortion. So the state pays for the second abortion. I'm assuming that's going to happen here. But in many cases, and there's a high percentage in the UK, some women have had up to 8 abortions. And I don't like, there's two things here. First of all, I don't think the state here wants to pay for continuous abortions, number one. But the other thing is, and I hope that the statistics and the information is being kept on these people who are having, because some of these women could be abused and could be forced to have abortions, because if somebody's having numerous abortions, there's something wrong out there. And I hope it's just that kind of statistic will be there to protect the woman going forward, because I don't think it's something that's been done in the UK, and maybe it could be the partner forcing that person to have an abortion, and there is a high percentage, and I think that needs to be looked at, Minister, going forward. And I listened to Deputy Healy-Rae, and he's right. We can't afford, like, I'm looking at Bantry General Hospital, I can't afford to have a consultant there, and people are desperately in need of continuing medical procedures, and they can't afford it. We can afford, I don't know how many million you put aside for this, and as I say, there was no consultation through it all, but it's a phenomenal amount of money being put aside here for these procedures, and we, the taxpayer, is going to have to fork out, and that's fine. If we saw equality and people who aren't suffering, like somebody said earlier on, that oh yeah, isn't it great, you're taking them abroad to get their cataracts and get their hips and their knees done, bus loads them nearly every week at this stage now, because it can't be done here in the state. But it's for to help them and to make sure that they'll have a quality of life, that they can have their sight back, and not to have them maybe suffering later on with mental health issues and the loss of maybe a lovely little child. I just, one deputy said earlier on something about a businessman backing us up. Maybe she meant all of us or whatever. I certainly have no businessman or businesswoman behind me in my views here. I just feel that, you know, these are amendments we put forward. We've been very, very respectful throughout this debate, whether it is in here or at the Health Committee. We put forward the least amount of amendments. We were the people that were meant to be disruptive, and we were meant to be the ones that were going to be filibustering. We're not filibustering. We didn't put forward dozens and dozens and dozens of amendments that were put forward by those who support abortion. They're entitled to do that, but we certainly put forward a limited amount. This is one of them. I'll speak on it. I'm delighted to get the opportunity to speak on it. You know, you said you had meetings with transvestites and whatever different groups yesterday. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But we certainly would like to have had extra meetings prior to this going to the Health Committee. We asked for that as TDs. We were refused. I know the medical people out there requested meetings from you. They were refused. Now we find ourselves in a crisis because many of them don't want to administer this, and we're left in the situation. I went to the meeting you did invite me to there about a week and a half ago, which I appreciate the opportunity to go. I raised 3 questions, Minister. Not one of them were answered at that meeting. But every other question, for those who wanted to bring in this bill and who supported this bill, you did everything in your power to answer them. I waited for the answers. I didn't get them. I wasn't going to bend over backwards. I put them forward. You wrote them down. You didn't get them. But I certainly will be supporting this amendment, and there's a number more we're going forward. I certainly will not be filibustering this bill, but I'll take my opportunity to speak. I don't think the Irish people, as I said, wanted their taxes to pay for abortions going forward. It's millions of euros that should be spent on the people who are desperately losing their eyesight, suffering severe pain with hips and other procedures that need to be doing, and hasn't happened. Thank you.